Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Chanel with Java Devotions. Um, Today I wanted to share a dream that I got about 2 weeks ago. And I'm sorry that, I am looking a little rough right now, but it's okay. It's okay. Long day at work. I haven't posted in a couple of weeks because I got a new job and it requires me to do a lot of studying, a lot of training, but it was a door that the Lord opened, and I think I'll probably do a story time about it in the next few months. But this dream I had was crazy. I'm just gonna say it was crazy, and the implications of it, face value, are not good. And I was just gonna keep it to myself, but I had a distinct feeling one of the reasons that the Lord gives me dreams is not to just keep it for myself, especially when I have something like this that really wouldn't just impact me, it will impact most people. So, anyway, 2 days ago, I had a dream, right? And in this dream, I was driving on a highway and I knew I was trying to get out of a city. I wasn't really sure why I was trying to leave the city, but I was trying to leave like a pretty big metropolitan area. And I remember being on a highway, and you have some of those highways where the sections are crossing over like a large body of water. Well, I was on a highway, and it was on the bridge part where it was crossing a large body of water. And I remember I was driving. I don't even know what direction is north or west, whatever. But I was driving on a highway and I could see like on the other side, because it wasn't like it was a vast ocean or anything, right? I could see like the city skyline uh, on the so bad with directions. Right of me? The right of me, right? And it was kind of like sundown, right? So this, I remember distinctly, like the sky was kind of like that orangey hue when the sun is getting ready to set. Slightly foggy, something, or maybe pollution, that weird haze that you will see in cities sometimes. And as I was driving, kind of like slow moving traffic, I could see this giant black tower rose up from the ground, and it was huge. It rose up from the ground and it reached all the way up into the sky. I mean, it looked like something like out of an alien movie, like the sheer size and scope of this structure. And I remember that it rose up out of the ground with such force that there was like this cloud of smoke that like encircled it from like the rubble of being pushed up out of the ground so quickly. And on first glance, this it was like this black tower. But then when you look closer, you can see that it wasn't just a tower. It was like a giant black refrigerator, right? And it had like these silver handles like a refrigerator. It was like one of those dual refrigerators where, the one side you have like your food and then the other side you have like the freezer section. And I remember thinking, this structure is huge. And I'm trying to think of how to compare it, but I remember distinctly I said it, or someone, no, I said in a dream, I was like, it is just like the Tower of Babel. And I just kept repeating it. And I was like, it's just like the Tower of Babel. Because the structure was created by man and it reached all the way up into the heavens, and it just arose so quickly out of the city. And I remember when it did that, the traffic on the highway just stopped. It just stopped. And I remember there was like some officers or something, and they were directing people to turn around and to go back. Like you couldn't exit the city the way we were doing before. And I remember as I was sitting there though, I was seeing people exit the highway to the right, and it looked like, I'm sorry, I just had like felt like a wind. I don't. nowhere. But anyway, um, yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, it like lost my train of thought. I saw like these drivers exiting the highway to the right, and it appeared like they were driving on top of the water. And I remember I was sitting there in traffic. I'm watching them try to turn the traffic around. The opposite lane was shut down, and we're trying to get people to go back. And I'm watching these other drivers, and it wasn't like a lot. It was compared to the amount of cars that were there, it wasn't a lot. I remember seeing these other drivers driving on, and they were able to get to the other side, to the other parts of the city where I guess now you couldn't get to because the highway, the interstate system was getting shut down for some reason. But they were driving on the water. Like, saw a couple of tractor trailers, some cargo vans, some regular cars, some SUVs driving on water. And I was like, dude, how are they able to drive on the water? And I just knew, I think I had a couple passengers with me. I just knew there was no way I was just going to sit in traffic and turn back around when wherever I'm trying to get to is over there past the Black Towers. And I'm like, well, if they could do it, let me see if I could do it. So I remember I was positioning my car to drive off the highway. Who there was a leap of faith. And to drive on top of the water. And I remember someone in the car was like, are you really about to drive off the highway right now? And I say yes. And I'm positioning my car, and like I could feel the front tires dipping down off of the side of the road to go into the water. But right underneath the surface of the water was like this white road, right? And the way the sun was hitting, you couldn't really see the road until you were right there. And so I was like, there's a road. I'm going for it. So I drove off. And you know that feeling of hydroplaning? So I knew I couldn't drive too fast because the road was so narrow. Whew. The road was so narrow, and it was just water, deep water on either side. And you had to drive fast enough where, I don't know if you ever drove through deep enough water where if there was a torrential rainstorm, if you don't drive fast enough, when you drive fast enough, it creates like a path through the water so that your engine doesn't flood. But if you drive too slow, or if you stop, your engine will flood and you're stuck. So I knew I had to drive fast enough where my car wouldn't stall, but I couldn't drive too fast where I would hydroplane and skid off the road. So that was nerve wracking, right? So I make it to the other side of the city that was getting closed off, right? So I make it there. And at this point now, as I'm driving on the road and I make it to the other part, it is now evening time. The sun has set and it was evening time. And you still have this foreboding tower. And I remember I knew instinctively that the tower was owned by a corporation or corporations. And these corporations, it was almost like they were going to be in complete control of the food supply. Complete control. And because it was like Babel, it was like worldwide. And I'm guessing because the dark, sinister feel of this refrigerator tower thing it wasn't good. But anyway, God provides, right? So anyway, I'm now in this section of the city, and I remember there were parts of the highway that it seemed like sections of it were chopped off. Like you would have a section and then it was cut off. And like the roads weren't interconnecting anymore. It was like the interstate system, but it was damaged. I don't know why it took so long to say that word, but yeah, it was damaged. So now I'm trying to get through to where I need to, but the road turned into like this whole race car track. Like, I don't know if you remember like those Hot Wheel toys with the winding, twisty race car track, but it was something similar to that with actual loops and everything like that. And all of a sudden, the car I had was like a Charger, like one of those Dodge Charger with the Hemis. And I knew I had to floor it. So now I'm like, um, driving fast enough where I could get through the loops, get through the things. But there was this section where it crossed another little mini body of water, but it was cut off. And the only way to get from where I was to the other side is I had to drive fast enough where I could be launched in the air. And once again, the people were with me. They was like, no, absolutely not, absolutely not. And I was just like, I could do that. I could do that. And I felt like God was there, and he was like, yeah, you could do that. I'm with you. And on the road, we're like, I don't know, it was like if you ever play video games, there's like these arrows. Like if you ever play like a racing game or one of those old school, like any type of racing game, right? They have like boosters in the road where if you hit the booster, it gives you extra speed, extra agility, and all this other stuff. So there was blue arrows that were kind of sparkling in the moonlight because it was nighttime, and there was floodlights, like helicopters, like trying to track my car and everything like that, and just blackness, but for the spare street lights and the thing. But I saw like these like sapphire like sparkly arrows in the road, and I hit it, and immediately the car was like propelled, and it jumped over the ramp. It felt like a movie. Jumped over the ramp and was able to land perfectly on the other side. And there was some other stuff in the dream, but it was just like way too weird, and I wasn't really able to piece it together, so I'm not probably going to go into that. But I did want to share about the food situation. And I did want to share that, you know, guys, we are in the last days. And I know there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of distractions. Let's just say distractions about what's going to happen in the future and prophecies and, you know, who's in office and all this other stuff. But I really need you guys to understand that we are actually living out Revelations, the last days. And we can't afford to be distracted by entertainment. Not to say that you can't, go to the movies or whatever the case may be. You can't be distracted by what Babylon puts out there. Whether it's politics, where it has you putting on your politics as a personality trait, right? We can't have anything that's going to distract us from following God's voice. Because in this day and age where deception is rampant and the enemy's voice is speaking through so many different things, in order to follow God's direction, in order to live out the tribulation period, because it's going to get progressively worse, you have to develop intimate time with God. You have to develop intimate time with El Shaddai so that he could continue to provide for you, so that he could continue to guide you on the straight and narrow path, so that he could continue to give you provision in the midst of famine. And if you're too caught up in the things that will not serve you in the next life, things that will not serve you in the next life is your identity, is your politics, whether you consider yourself conservative or liberal or progressive. Things that are not going to serve you in the next life is how much money you made here and now. Things that are not going to serve you in the next life are anything that has absolutely nothing to do with the kingdom of our God in Christ. I know a lot of people are counting on a rapture so they don't have to deal with the here and now so they don't have to deal and prepare for what's coming. But the truth is, we're already in it. And just like how a frog could be in a pot of water and won't jump out, because as the heat progressively gets worse and worse and worse and higher and higher, it just sits there as it's boiling alive. But the Lord tells us that we are to depart from Babylon. We are to leave Babylon. And that doesn't mean just leaving a physical place. It means leaving its ideologies behind, its politics behind, its culture behind. And right now, there is so much division tied around identity politics, whether that be in America or wherever it is that you live in, that you're missing the signs that we are living out the tribulation. So I wanted to share that, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And that's it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.